in the core. So if you cut perpendicular to the line, when you open it up, hello, howdy, and welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Kathryn, and I'm the Aerogarden Homesteader. Today is roasted salsa. So if you caught my roasted salsa verde video, which was last time, I'm going to actually be doing something very similar, but I'm going to be making just with ripe tomatoes. These are actually overripe, but I'm going to roast them in the oven for about half an hour. Got some red peppers there. I'm going to put some onion on. I'm going to cut these tomatoes in half and get them going. Now this is only half the amount. So yeah, it's not all going to fit on this cookie sheet. So I'm probably going to have to either track down another cookie sheet or run this cookie sheet twice. We will just have to see. But for now, I am coring the tomato. I'm going to cut it in half, and that's literally it. I will allow the natural juices to come off in the oven, and I probably will not be putting that in the pot unless it's too thick. I will also probably, I'll probably seed it before I put it in the oven, because we don't care for seeds in ours, but it's fine. You do whatever you want. This way it'll help get the skins off, it'll give it a nice roasty flavor, and get a little bit of the extra juice out as well, so I don't have to boil it forever. Now, this is my first time doing this, so I'm not 100% sure how this will turn out. I guess we'll just see. But for now, I'm going to go through and remove what few seeds there are. The peppers, the red peppers, I've just got sort of a selection of peppers here. I'm just going to roast those whole and remove stems later. I do also have a red pepper that I will be using. And like I said, I will be putting onions on here. I will be I'll cut the onions into quarters, so that way they can roast up, get lots of nice roasty flavor. Hey, and just a neat trick, I don't know if you know this, but you see how there's this little line that goes down here in the core? So if you cut perpendicular to the line, when you open it up, you got your seeds easy to scrape out. If you do it the other way, then you kind of cut down the membrane and, well, yeah, the seeds are a little harder to get out. So if you're sun-drying tomatoes, that's a great way to go. See, this one had 3 compartments, so, at some point you're just going to cut on a membrane. But yeah, no, if you're sun-drying tomatoes, this is a great way to open it up and make sure it dries nice and fast. But anyways, I'm going to speed through this. I'm pretty much just going to chuck this in the oven for half an hour, like I said. I'll bring you back when I put it in the pot. So at that point, I'll show you what I'm going to do at that point. It's probably going to be pulling the skins off and dicing them up. And my onion. And quarter that, and then get this in the oven. There we go. That's what it looks like. Everything's on there, ready to go. So my peppers, onions, and tomatoes have had a chance to roast and cool, so I should, in theory, be able to handle this with my fingers. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to go through and quickly pull the skins off the tomato. See, it just comes off so easily. Plus you're going to get that nice roast flavor from the oven. I will put all of the tomatoes in a pot together. I do want to know how many cups of tomato I have, because I want to make sure that the ratio of tomato to everything else doesn't, I don't want the tomato to not have enough, I don't want the salsa to not have enough tomato. So it's got, you know, I just sort of threw everything on here that I had. But if there's too many non-acidic ingredients, like the peppers and onions, it could throw the acidity off, and then it would not be safe for water bath canning. And I'd like to water bath can this because it takes less time. So I will put all of the tomatoes in first. This will be a pureed salsa, like restaurant style, just because at this point everything is just so mushy and, you know, soft that I don't think I could cut it into good chunks. Or if it would even hold up through the canning process, for that matter. It might just break down in the jar with all the cooking it'll get. So this will just end up being like more restaurant style, a pureed salsa. And that's fine. That'll be a nice change from what we normally have. So I will speed through this pretty quickly. The skins are coming off of the tomatoes pretty easily. There's a couple where they're stuck a bit, but they do peel off. The peppers, on the other hand, I'm not sure how easily those will come off. Oh, that one came off pretty easily. I want to be able to take the stem out, the skin off, and at least some of the seeds. So let me see what we got here. Yeah, I'll just have to go through and work at it and see what we got. So I don't know what kind of pepper this is. We kind of went and picked a whole bunch of random things off of plants. It was rather amusing because we didn't know what we were picking. But it's all good. It does, when I cut it and smelled it, it did smell like it had a little bit of heat to it, so it might be an Anaheim, or it could be an ancho. So he was kind of, I think it might be an Anaheim. He was kind of pointing, the farmer was pointing to the various peppers, but he did have a lot of peppers mixed in together. So he had his jalapenos growing alongside anchos and, you know, various other, you know, peppers like serrano. So it was kind of difficult to figure out what might be what if you're not sure what you're looking for. And I did have some people helping me pick, so they are not as familiar with the peppers as I am, and I'm not really that familiar either, so these are actually coming apart pretty good. Now I think these are red jalapeno. They're just, they've just ripened to the point that they're red. Ooh, this one is not coming off very easily. Some of them are coming off easily and some of them are not, so. But they did roast for at least half an hour. It was probably like 40 minutes in a 425 degree oven. So it's a similar process to the tomatillo roasted salsa verde. So if you want to see that video, I can have that pop up in the cards. I'm kind of just sort of following a similar process. Okay, so that is all the peppers. So that is all of the tomatoes from this sheet. And like I said, I will put the tomatoes in. I'm probably going to try to leave some of this juice behind. So that was actually part of the point of roasting these, was to get some of the extra juice out. So I got to clean up first. Because a lot of recipes for salsa, you know, canned salsa, will actually have you sort of simmer it for 10-15 minutes so that you can decrease the water content to thicken it up a little. Okay, now my pot may be total overkill, but I'm going with it. Actually, I should probably put this in a measuring cup first. I guess we will see if I have enough to read the measurements on the side of the pot. Okay, and I'm not going to subject you to another tray of that, so I will bring you back for the next step. So, nothing like peeling something slightly acidic to help you find all the paper cuts on my hand, or to help me find all the paper cuts on my hand. So this is what I'm left with. Got about 5 to 6 cups. You can see it's still a little juicy. I did take some of the extra moisture out that had accumulated in the pot. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my onions at this point. I'm going to put in my peppers, and I'm going to puree it up and then proceed to put the rest of the ingredients in. So I have cilantro, it's going to call for some cumin, obviously salt and pepper. So I will probably do what I did with the salsa verde. If you watched that video, I will put everything in, blitz it up, see how it is. Then I will put in this cilantro and then probably give it another blitz. And I will mute this part for you because you just don't need to hear this. put my apron on because I don't want to mess up my pose. Okay, so I can tell already that that is not going to be wet enough, so I'm going to pour in some of the juice from the tray, and that will hopefully help. I do have the second tray, pardon me, I do have the second tray with some juice on it, so I can add a little bit more if needed. Yeah, it looks more like a soup than a salsa. Let's see. Yeah, I might need a little more liquid. Oops, I think I got a skin in there. Let me see. Oh well, I guess it'll just get pureed later. Okay, I'm going to get that on so that I can start warming up. I'm going to get my recipe. Let me see. So the recipe actually calls for like 12 cups of tomatoes, but this has only got 5. I don't know how many I actually started with and how a roasted salsa works. So we might have to add a little bit of salt and go from there. That way we're not overdoing it. Let's see. It calls for 1.5 tablespoons of salt for my recipe, but we might need to scale that back a little just because of the volumes. So maybe we'll start with 1. This is a teaspoon, so I'm going to put in 3 of these to get a tablespoon. Okay, some pepper. I'll put my full unroasted recipe down in the show notes. I think I can also link to the choice recipe that the USDA has as part of theirs, which just sort of calls for, you know, a certain amount of tomatoes to peppers to onions. So you kind of have to decide how much of stuff you want to add. So do you want 1 cup of onions and 8 cups of peppers, or vice versa? Okay. So I'll have to give that a little taste. I also do need to track down some citric acid. Okay, I may have forgotten to hit the record button on that. I'm not sure how much I lost, so I guess we'll figure it out. Okay, so I gave it a quick blitz just to break down the cilantro, gave it a final taste, and it's good. So I am going to do a little quick cleanup, and I will put this in jars, and I will come back so you can watch it go in the jars. Okay, everything is cleaned up, it's ready to go. Got my jars, they're hot, the salsa's hot. Remember, hot jars, hot food, hot water. So let's get these filled. Probably get rid of the tongs, which I was stirring with, just because I don't think I need them anymore. Now that is a thick roasted salsa. This is 1/2 inch headspace. Still, I believe it's 25 minutes. I will double check that processing time. Okay, my hands are wet. Maybe I won't check. Okay, this is jar number 5. Let's see if we can fill it up. So I am scraping bottom here. Alright, let me see. Oh, I'm just short of the headspace. maybe I will get a scraper and scrape the pot. Ah, I knew I had enough. Might be a tiny bit too much. Okay, 15 minutes. So I will process this for 15 minutes. I will bring you back and show you how many sealed. This is what I got. The roasted salsa is out of the canner and looks great. I think all of the jars sealed. So there we go. Some nice salsa to put up in the pantry. I will link the roasted salsa verde, so if you want to see how that one came together, it's a very similar process, but it uses tomatillos instead of tomatoes. And it would be really helpful if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, the bell, so you can know when my videos come out. And I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.